Hey everybody, it's Aram Banyan.
Timmy Bennett here.
Welcome to B&B Banter Bros, probably our seventh solid episode.
Yes.
Last one was a bit of a short one. So
7 1/4.
yeah. So yeah.
Said right there in the title. 1/4.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, previously we did, we just talked about the episode 7 1/4, was kind of like a pre-game D&D talk.
Yeah. Expectations, kind of a little bit of stuff about who was playing and some of the people that were playing. We didn't get into Trevor, but
yeah, and then mainly just to see kind of what Aram's excitement was and what he thought he was getting himself into. Yeah, and what we had played, we played pretty long. Played all freaking day. I think we closed it up at around.
We closed it up at 11.
Yeah, it was like 8:30 p.m. when I said, "All right, I think we should stop."
No, it was 11 when we stopped. Yeah, it was 11. We played for 12 hours.
Still. But that's the kind of game I like to play, though.
Yeah. No, and those hours flew by. Like,
they did.
Couldn't have told you that we played for 12 hours when we finally finished up.
Nope. No, they definitely do. That's why I like to do long sessions like that. I mean, it's different if you know you're going to play like maybe twice a week or once a week. You can go ahead and do like, 4 hour sessions, but like when you're not sure when you're gonna play, you won't. Which has always been my case.
Yeah.
I like to pack as much as I can and
by a cracky, you did.
and we didn't even get very far,
even with us like completely screwing the story at certain points.
Right. Well, at that note, Aram, how was your day?
Today was good. Had the day off, hung out with the kid.
Do anything special?
No, it was hot as shit outside. And,
it was gross out.
And he was, he's into YouTube and video games, so we kind of hung out, did that. We played a little bit with some toys, and I napped here and there. And eventually fed him lunch.
Did he nap with you, or
no? He doesn't nap.
No.
He
just kind of pass out on the couch and let him do his own thing, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's basically like when he got me up, it was like, all right, well. I'm going to hang out like on the couch. I'll sit here. Like, you can sit next to me and we'll just do whatever. And he does. He's fine. He leaves me to my devices until he gets annoyed. And he's like, Dad, stop sleeping. I was like, what? For the love of God, what?
Let me have this.
Huh?
You're probably just like, let me have this.
Yeah. Like, dude, like we stayed up a little later than we should have last night anyway, but
yeah,
he doesn't sleep a lot. We've essentially got him on sleeping pills, and we give him melatonin at night, and he still has nights where he wakes up at 4 a.m. He's like, I don't want to go back to sleep. I don't know what's going on with him. Like, I don't know. His brain is wired differently than mine is when it comes to sleep. But
right, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's not fun. I mean, it's better than it was. It used to be like before we started doing any of this, like, getting him to sleep was the issue because it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours of fighting him back down into a bed till he finally dozed off.
Yeah.
And then
melatonin it doesn't work for me unless I take copious amounts, and then that's not very good for you. So
he's got to take two adult sized gummies.
Oh,
to like
come in gummies?
Yeah, we give him gummies. So we can't give him a swallow pill. Oh, they come in like strawberry flavors.
Right.
So.
Right. Medicine is no longer medicine anymore.
Right. But
I grew up believing that if it tastes bad, it's good for you.
Right. The same people that made us drink fish oil and shit like that, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Still to this day, I have a hard time. Like I remember that. It wasn't the taste of the fish oil.
Texture.
It was the way it went down the throat because it just kind of.
It's an oil. It coats everything.
Yeah. Nope.
No. That. Never had to do it. Never will. I'd rather be sick. But yeah, other than that, it's a pretty low-key day.
That's good.
Yeah. Do the same thing tomorrow. What about you? How was your day?
Same thing. Kind of kept it easy. Did some chores around the house while the kid was playing around, and started watching this TV show called Space Jungle. And it's pretty much like it's a kid's show, but it's like these little alien things that are like the size of Smurfs that like come to our planet, and they pretty much live in this house, this human's house, and they get in some shenanigans and try to hide away from the humans, and dogs and cats come and mess with them, and birds, and it's interesting.
Liam watches a show called Cleo and Cocaine.
I've seen that on.
And it's like 6 kids living in a house in the middle of nowhere. And where are those children's parents?
Where are these parents?
These just like straight up latchkey kids that just live in this house and have all this stuff. Who's providing? Like, I watch a number of these shows. Like,
you know, they can't survive on their own.
Right. Word Party's another one. Have you ever watched Word Party on Netflix?
I don't think so.
It's a Jim Henson thing, so I feel like Jim Henson I will always be kind of allowing to the thing, but like it's 4 like baby animals. Like there's like a wallaby, an elephant, a panda, and a cheetah. And so they're babies, they're in diapers, and Word Party essentially is like having to learn words. Like so they'll say certain things and they'll go, I don't know the word for this one, so they have to figure out the word. But like there's like an adult that speaks to them, but you never see them.
It's just like a narrated voice.
Yeah, and like
it's the voice of God.
They have this clock that comes out called Clickety Clock that tells them when it's time to go to bed, time to go eat, time to go play. And like they have like food just prepared somewhere for them. There are no adults.
God, that must be nice.
I can't fathom like how are these children surviving on their own?
That's what Lord of the Flies was preparing us for, is pretty much children without parents or authority figures way above their own. I mean, that's bizarre. I don't think I've seen that one. I wonder if Kaylee probably has, but
it's cute. Don't get me wrong, but like as an adult, I just go, where are the parents?
Right.
Where's an adult? Somebody like there's one where like the cheetah is learning how to use the toilet on her own. Like, and it's like
never watched anybody, huh?
Like
figure this out. Natural instincts.
Yeah, it was so bizarre. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know it's a kid's show, but like I'm an adult watching this shit.
Not to mention, how is a cheetah going to take off a diaper?
Right. Well, they stand up like regular animals.
It has no thumbs.
Yeah.
Anyway, should probably get going to the
actual topic going on to the actual podcast.
So, D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. First off, did you enjoy yourself? Did you have fun?
I enjoyed myself immensely. It was interesting to take the original idea of my character and try to evolve him a little bit as it went along. Because my character was supposed to be very gruff and not really into social norms, or not doesn't observe social etiquette and stuff like that. So it's interesting. Like I haven't quite evolved into the point where I think he should be or will be, but yeah, it's interesting changing the character a little bit as I went.
There definitely was some evolution into your character, and how you played it, and it actually, amazingly enough, it came out very natural.
Yeah,
you didn't just like flip a switch like you kind of would probably think it would happen. You just go, oh well, I have to change my character now. No, it was a natural occurrence. Like your guys' situation, it was beautifully played out. Where you guys' situations really did bring your characters together, and like especially that last fight.
The fight we weren't supposed to have.
It's one for the books right there. I'm like, this should not have happened. I'm amazed.
Right?
Amazed. So, of course you guys deserve the level up you got.
2 levels up.
Right?
I'm level 3 now.
2 level. Yeah, you just jump right up from level 1 to level 3.
Skip that second level shit.
But that's because of the fight that you guys should have lost at.
The 2 hours we spent at the end of the game just fighting off 4 guys.
It was a beautiful thing to see. Like as a dungeon master, my goal is to obviously build the world, throw things at you, see how you interact, counteract those things, or play along with them, or whatever.
Sure.
And the biggest challenge, one of the things I enjoy the most, but it's also can be one of the hardest things because you got to keep with continuity, is the improv.
Yeah.
You kind of, most of the game, you have an outline of what you're wanting to do, or where you're wanting to go, or where you want to bring.
Beats.
Yeah. But for the most part, you have to play off of the characters, so
Sure.
or the players and their decisions. So you kind of have to improv it. And 90% of the game that we did was all improv.
Yeah.
I had sections that I was playing into, but for the most part, I just wing it every time.
Right. Well, like you were saying, like that point where you left those two NPCs that were supposed to lead us to Pharrell.
Yep.
Like, we were supposed to use those two to like lead us somewhere, and we just left them.
Yeah. Yep. So I had to switch it up. I had to change my tactic to get you exactly where I wanted you to go. So how did I do that? A magic shop.
Right.
Which
we spent the better part of like 30 or 40 minutes figuring out how to like
probably
break
even
into,
longer than that.
maybe even longer, but we were trying to break into a magic shop that we could have just gone around the back and gotten to the.
Well,
gotten
you
to the
couldn't
thing.
even get around the back because there wasn't a way to get around the back.
Oh, we would have had to gone down like 3 blocks and gone around.
Yeah, you would have had to
so,
go
yeah.
all the way out of
Yeah.
the city limit. But tell them the situation.
Well,
Tell them
so
what the whole thing was about.
So the three of us trying to find. Actually, I think we just stopped at the magic shop because Trevor's character,
Kazan.
had something he wanted identified.
Yeah, he had
Like a
s-
scroll
He had
or
a
some
scroll
shit,
he wanted
yeah.
identified.
So we happened upon the shop. He'd already checked it once before he met up with us, and it was locked. Came back, it was locked again. And through various, like, my character, who is, as I said, not exactly, like, big on social etiquette, had somewhere he had to be. So he said, if we get in here and get this done, can we go? And he, they're like, well, yeah. So I took my mace and tried to break the door handle, and that threw me back onto the street. And then Dreads, was it right after that Dreads decided to try and like grappling hook his way up to the top?
Yeah, Fen.
Fenn's Dreads character Fen tries to use his grappling hook, and it was literally the three of us for 20 minutes attempting to like throw a grappling hook in the middle of the street in broad daylight to break into this place.
Yeah, you guys had some bad rolls.
Yeah, we were doing rough. And we finally got up there, and then was it Kaisan that actually almost fell back down?
Yep. Yeah, because I think he was the one who succeeded first getting up there, and then he went to jump on the windowsill and pull himself through,
And missed.
and he missed.
Yeah, he rolled wrong or something. They just rolled himself into a miss, and then so it became a weird sort of caper for a moment, like the three of us bumbling our way to get into this place, and then finding a drunk in the back that I started to fight, which turned out to be a terrible idea, because he.
How did you like that situation? What's your initial thought on that whole situation?
Well, I thought the character was amusing, like when he was a drunk. I thought that part was amusing, and then I wasn't sure how to play the fact that he was talking about the great old ones, because in my character's backstory, like that's his patron is the great old ones, but he's basically trying to get all the lore about the great old ones out of the world so that they can't make it back in.
But the difference for your character is the great old ones is a Cthulhu
Yeah,
based
God,
great old
stuff
ones.
like that.
Yep. And yeah. So
he started talking about the fact that he had like a demon living in his head that was a curse from the great old one. So I took that as something I needed to get and tried communicating with it, and then eventually was just like, well, let's just take this guy to fuck him uptown, and we'll just take it that way. I didn't just go off the bend. Like I actually offered to like try and ease his suffering, but it was noble in its pursuit. I'll put it that way. But it didn't go well.
she started going south.
Went terrible. I lost my hand. And like, I have to admit, that's probably one of my favorite moves, though, was grabbing his face and firing off a spell.
Yeah.
I thought that would work. It worked, but not well enough. And then my hand went away.
Yep.
So yeah, it was not our finest moment, but
Do you want to explain to these folks what this drunk guy was all about?
well, I'm having a little bit of trouble recalling everything about him because like it basically has like it's almost like he has like a schism. Like there's like two sides of him, and one side basically rips apart reality to like protect him. Almost, it's kind of what I'm remembering. I might be missing some of it. But.
He is essentially just like a key and a gateway
Sure.
that brings the void of nothing. That pretty much the best way that. So the black hole concept that you.
Oh yeah,
say is like, this dude is like a black hole. I'm like, exactly. That's exactly what I was taking that from. But obviously your character doesn't know it, but
right. That was just me yelling out of character.
Yeah, I was using that kind of concepts to create this reality bending kind of void, and he kind of is considering this issue to be like a demon because there's obviously something there that triggers this what you guys ended up having to deal with. And
so there was a big miscommunication during that whole thing.
Right. But the only way he's able to really maintain it is by just staying drunk.
Yeah.
Just being drunk all the time. So
do what works.
Right. When you tell us how you first met the rest of the party.
So I ended up coming into port in this town. Town's called Westerly, and was immediately accosted by the harbor master. My character had like a letter from the king telling me to come see him. And if I had been a little more, if my character had been a little more observant, he might have asked a few questions because, I showed them the letter and they're like, oh, well, that's, we don't have a king around here. And someone should have said, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. I stand to reason, or it stands to reason in my mind that this place was basically a smuggling town. Or at least the port was, because Tim kept saying there were barrels and crates everywhere, and I was like, that's way too much stuff for just a ferry. And they were being way too secretive. Something was going on, and then they were like paying reverence to a fountain, which is weird small town shit that makes me uneasy anyway. But again,
right.
at that point, my character wasn't really giving a shit about what was going on. He had somewhere to be, and like that was what he was gonna do. And so Fenn, Drez's character, ended up coming in the other side of town, like walked on off the road,
came into the entrance,
and he was as well like almost accosted by the gatekeeper, given the runaround a little bit. Eventually was let in, and we both stayed at the one inn that was in the town, which apparently was just a stable that was converted because there were no beds to be seen. There was just straw on the floor and a pillow somewhere. But my character was sent to the inn under guard because I was less than cooperative with the harbor master.
You just rubbed him the wrong way.
Yeah. He didn't care for me, which is fine. I didn't care for him either. So I was sent to the inn, and they posted a guard outside my door. Fenn also stayed like 3 doors down from me in the same inn. We were woken in the middle of the night by screaming of a female, and then some males kind of just yelling about stuff too. I immediately tried to go have my guard take care of it because I can't sleep. I'm busy trying to take care of the voices in my own head. Having outside ones wasn't helping anything. He wouldn't, so I used a telepathic ability I have to speak in his head and to cause him to freak out, thinking that he had demons in his head. And he ran off, so I proceeded to go see what the ruckus was. Fen, being a rogue, like, followed me stealthily, not really letting me, not that I would have observed that he was there anyway, but he followed along, and then we came across a woman being assaulted by 3 guards. And they were kind of, I guess they were finishing up. It sounded like they had already done what they were going to do.
They were in the midst when you guys interrupted.
And so I basically just went, I'm trying to sleep, shut up.
Right? Yeah, you didn't really care about the situation. You just wanted peace and quiet.
Right. And, well, living as a hermit, I mean, that's one of my big things. Like I say, I tried to play to my character as much as I could.
I enjoyed it. I thought you did very well.
I can't remember what I did first. I missed the first spell. They told me to go away and I wouldn't. They told me again, I still wouldn't. Just like, no, you need to shut up so I can go to sleep. So eventually one started coming at me, and I think I fired off a spell that missed, caused him to pause. And I think that's when Fen like jumped into the fray and like roundhouse kicked that one. Wait, one of them ran off or something like that.
That was the first one, the leader guy.
Yeah. How did I scare him off?
So I think you did the same thing.
Oh,
that you did to your guard.
Oh.
So after, I think that's what it was.
That makes sense.
I think you essentially just got sight of his head, told him to run.
Badgered him. And then I fired off a spell at the next one.
Which you hit. Which
I hit him and knocked him out. And then Fen jumped into the fray for the last one and ended up beating him up for the most part. I don't think I did much to that one.
Yeah, Fen just punched him really, really good out of nowhere. He sneaked attack, which was kind of clever, I guess, given that he was after you, and then all of a sudden he gets punched by somebody else.
Right, yeah, for sure.
And knocked him down, stood on his chest, and pretty much told him, was like, what's going on here, and
I think I left after that. It's just like,
I'm
going to sleep, but I turned around and I left.
Yep, you turned around and went back to your room while leaving Dread's character, Fen, to pretty much
to clean up
the mess.
So he got the girl kind of situated. He came back and pestered me for a few more minutes, asking if we could travel together. I agreed eventually, just because I think Fen told me he knew a shortcut.
Yeah,
it was the big thing. So he said he knew a shortcut so I could get where I was. I know. I found that out later. So I agreed, and then we were accosted by the harbor master again the next morning because he was like, "You were supposed to be gone," and I was like, "I was supposed to be able to get my stuff and then leave." So we got our stuff eventually and left. And then we ended up in Barter's Inn, which was where Trevor's character, Kaisan, was staying. And then I think I literally ran into him. Like, I think I was lost in thought and, like, walked right into Kaisan, and we both fell over.
You both collided with each other.
Yeah.
It was a great meet cute.
Yeah, I mean, technically speaking. And then he, being the noble that he is, basically reprimanded me. I gave off the crazy vibe, so Fen stepped in to like kind of smooth everything over. And then he led us around town.
Aimlessly.
He led us the opposite direction of where we were going, which we were pretty much right in front of when we ran into him.
Yep.
He led us the opposite way to show us the rest of the town, and then got us to the inn or the tavern we were looking for.
Yep. Took about an hour out of your way just to go 20 minutes.
Right.
If you would have gone the other way.
And yeah, he had been staying there as a bard. He had 2 companions that were basically part of his act. Like there was a fire thrower and a belly dancer. The girl we had saved the night before apparently was looking for her sister, who, through whatever, ended up being the belly dancer in Kaisan's little troupe. They had actually parted ways that morning, so we had to go looking for them.
Yeah, I think what baffles me the most about your guys is the way you guys played out. First of all, in the town of Westerly, I was expecting you guys to go a little bit more like in depth, like snoop around, get a little more curious, ask a little more questions. You guys did none of that. You absolutely,
My guy had somewhere to be.
did none of that, and I don't know, because like you guys were, well, Dredge was getting a lot of looks because he was an elf, and they didn't
Right.
have elves there, and they just thought he didn't
Weird.
belong.
Yeah.
He's way too nice of clothing and all that.
Oh, he must be a king. Why is that?
Right.
Oh, he's not covered in shit.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And I was expecting you guys to just snoop around or whatever. I was trying to play it off very like suspiciously, like what is going on? And you got the hint. You
Yeah.
definitely picked that up, but you didn't progress to
Well, like I said,
dive in further about it.
my character has like had
A
no
one-track
interest in,
mind,
yeah,
pretty
had
much.
no interest in that shit. Like he has a mission, he has things he has to do. Like he's got no time to sit there and play Scooby Doo. And that was
And
but even text Dreads, I'm like in the middle of that, I'm like, this place is totally like a smuggling ring or something. Like there's something going on here.
Well, and I'm not going to give anything away about the town because if you guys ever come back,
Right.
I got to keep up the facade. So
If we go back, I'm just gonna level the town.
okay, yeah, and then Barter's
Inn
Barter's Inn, which is the name of the inn and the actual
and the town. Like it started out as an inn, and the town crept up around
Yep.
it. So it's basically just a lot of shops and shit like
So
that.
do you remember what essentially that place is?
Yeah,
It's pretty much just a trading.
yeah. It's
trading
a big
post,
trading
giant
post.
trading post. Yeah.
So we had to go find the girl we saved. We had to find her sister because Kaisan doesn't know where they are anymore. He leads us to the food court where he last
He wasn't
left
such
them.
an asshole.
Right. He leads us to the food court where they were, but the food court is now full, so we can't see them. And he proceeds to start playing some song. I don't know what the fuck he was playing, but he proceeds to start playing and gathers all the attention of everybody, including Fen and myself for a moment.
Yep.
And then eventually Fen and I break free, and I start yelling the girl's name. And so does Fen, because he can
Do you
hear
remember her
me.
name?
Marissa?
You got
I think
it?
her real name was Mary, but she goes by Marissa, which didn't make any sense to me because it's backwards. And then like Fen and I get back together because I think Kaisan basically leads a portion of the audience back to the inn to kind of thin out the crowd. And then I saw Marissa and Eli, I believe was the boy's name.
Yep.
Running down an alley. I didn't know their names at the time, but I recognized what a belly dancer looks like. So like I basically hit Fen on the shoulder, pointed and ran, and Eli tried to take me out with a shovel.
But missed.
Missed, yeah.
Yep.
Didn't take
Got
me
lucky.
out.
Missed.
So I stumbled for a minute, and then Fen came around the corner and cast an illusion to put a wall up on the other side of the alley to make sure he didn't run off.
Mm-hmm.
And then Eli drew. Did he draw daggers?
2 machetes.
Two machetes.
So they were just juggling machetes, but they can do some damage.
Yeah. And then
Trust me, I know.
So I can't remember. Did he get very far? Or somehow we got Elaine in front of us at some point. I can't remember if
Well,
he
he-
put off an attack or
He
not.
threw, so he was ready
That's
to
right, he
fight,
threw
and
one.
he threw one, and it had cut Finn on
Yeah.
the arm, and then it had barely missed you in the face.
Yeah. Basically, it's that old trope where like it's stuck in the wall and like my eyes are like right on the
Yep.
the blade.
There was
So-
a little bit of blood dripping down from where it cut.
Right. And then Kaisan is in the back of us just doing nothing important.
Well, he so
Or did he
it-
cast
it-
something? I can't remember.
It's an L, so it was an
Yeah.
L. So you had a building, and then you had a wall, and then you guys were blocking that corner of that L because that is where you had toppled over. That is where Finn had stepped over you, so you were like leaning up against the wall.
Yeah.
And then Finn had stepped like around you, and pretty much he stood right there. So nobody could go anywhere because you guys were right in the way, and it's an L, so it's not like you can.
And it wasn't a very wide alley either. It was
like
only
3
about
feet.
like 3 feet across. Yeah, so it was like a one-person alley.
It really was, and that was the whole point of having you guys be bottlenecked in there like that. But nobody moved. Nobody moved out of the way.
Oh, I was still trying to recover. I fell over from that almost being hit with a shovel. I was trying to like get myself off the wall.
Yep. I mean, that is one thing I was like, those are the kind of things, and I'm like, oh my God, why don't you guys move? Spread out. Can you what? I was like, no, this is great. It's creating more
tension.
Yep.
But eventually, Elaine, the girl that we saved, who ended up being Eli's little sister, got in front of us somehow.
You guys just completely bailed on that whole thing.
Those were the NPCs that we went, okay, are we done with you guys? We're out.
Right? And there's more to it than that.
Right. There was.
You guys didn't even ask anything about. It was like, oh, how did Elaine not know that the brother wasn't alive?
Right.
You know, like, why not look for the brother too? You guys didn't ask anything more.
I'm going to admit that I remember that line, like, what are you doing here? Like, you're alive, like that whole thing. I remember hearing it. It didn't register.
Yeah, it didn't register. Yeah, I don't think anybody paid attention.
I was listening. Like that was one of those points where like I missed the whole point of that one. But then once again, that was my character going, "Are we done now?
Right.
Let's go."
And that's as it. You played your character, but it was just mainly the three of you, like just quickly shrugged everything off.
Yeah. Side quest be damned.
Right. And so, yeah, once again, then I had to switch things up.
And that was when we met Pharrell, the drunk.
The drunken wizard.
Yep. So that was the heist part of the adventure.
By the way, in my head, the way that I picture Pharrell is a...
Pharrell from the Neptunes?
No. Is pretty much Nicolas Cage in The Sorcerer's Apprentice, the movie.
I know the movie. I haven't seen it.
No, I pretty much imagine that.
Okay.
And just a drunken version. So a little bit more of a sloppier, drunken version.
And so we get a quest from him to like say, oh, well, if you want to like help me, like keep this under wraps, because he basically can tear reality apart and basically destroy the world if he's left rampant for a long enough time. He sends us on a quest to find a witch in this giant forest. To which we go, okay, well, we can cut through the forest here and go see the king, which is what I originally had intended to do, and then come back, gather some more information there about the witch, both from Fenn's village that was supposed to be on the way, although he didn't want to go back because he stole some shit.
Whatever he wants to play his backstory,
but like, go to the capital, see if we can find some information, see the king, see what he wants, and then go back into the woods where we think she's supposed to be, and find her. We got about 3 hours in and figured out we had gone the wrong way.
You got 3 miles. Pretty much the wrong direction, where you're going further into the forest.
And that was even because like I stopped her. I was like, wait. And this was before we figured out where else. I was like, does any one of us have a compass?
Yep. It was because you had done that.
Yeah.
Because you had said, hey, does anybody have a compass? Made me go, all right, I'm going to play with this one. That's when I decided to fuck with you guys a little bit.
That's only because I remember reading, I can't remember, I think it was The Hobbit, where they get into the forest and all of a sudden, like, they lose sight, they go off the trail, and all of a sudden they don't know where they are anymore. And that was essentially what we did, because we went into a big forest without a compass, not on a trail at all.
And you guys played it very well, because in a forest, everything looks the same. You don't know which direction you're going, so you don't know at all the direction. Each step you take, it's something I thought was very interesting that I learned a long time ago, was each step you take in a dense forest, you're not going the same straight line.
I'm sure you list.
Yep, because you have to weave in and out of things, and each time you weave in and out, you're slithering like a snake in a different direction, no matter what. You can never get back on the same track.
For sure.
No, and that was something that was like, I think you brought it up that way, saying, well, everything looks the same. We don't know where we're going.
Right. I was like, unless we can see the tree line, like where it ends, like we have no frame of reference.
And the forest is way too big for that. You guys decided you wanted to walk right pretty much in the middle of this, like 300 acre, I don't even know. Probably bigger than that.
And like the idea was sound, but like if we had had a compass, we'd have been fine.
Yep.
But we did it, and then after the fact, we went, wait. Hold up a second.
But I helped you guys out a little bit.
Yeah, well, you had to because we were really struggling.
And to be honest, I thought it was pretty clever. Not to toot my own horn, but I was pretty proud of it.
That was actually, the way you did it was pretty good. It was much better than someone suggesting that I use my spider climbing slippers to walk up a tree, which is like a couple miles tall.
Which, once again, you played that one very well. You went, I might get exhausted way sooner before I reach the top. I'm like, yep.
Just picture myself in that fucking...
Because I had to explain how big these trees were. There's a reason why the forest is called the large tree forest.
Right.
So to give you guys an idea of what I was referencing
if we've got the Facebook page, we should post the map up there so people can see it.
Yeah, we should. What we're talking about. So the way that I was envisioning this tree forest is each tree essentially is like the California redwood trees, the massive trees that you can,
sequoias.
But I was also exaggerating it further into like the Avatar, the movie, that life tree or the home tree, that size. People can live in each one of these trees and not even bother the other person. Yeah. That's how big these trees are.
Civilizations can almost live in these.
Yep.
These trees. They're not civilizations, but colonies.
Yep. This party were like Smurfs to, the trees. Yep. And they pretty much acted like it too.
Yeah. Eventually then we got our bearings. We started traveling again. Figured out we were 3 miles the wrong direction. So turned around, got our bearings, got going again, and then...
Ooh, explain to him how I got you.
So basically we were just... The beams of light coming through the trees, we noticed the movement of them. And knowing that the sun sets in the west, which I even thought I was smart enough to go, hey, wait, do we know that the sun actually acts the same way it does on Earth? Because at that point, I was like, I better not leave that to chance because it's a question I have.
No, and Trevor made a very excellent. Was like, yeah, next thing you know, he's going to tell us there's 3 suns. I'm like, don't put that in my head.
I might even say that too. Like, don't put that out there. Right. But so eventually the beams of light were shifting enough that like we started to notice like we basically got the bearings of like which way the sun was traveling because of the beams of light. Mm-hmm. So we were, like I say, we got our bearings and we eventually started traveling and we came to a clearing just about nightfall, which we decided to pitch camp. Since the other 2 were high elves and they only need to trance for like 4 hours, everyone said let the humans sleep, which has been my main quest like the whole time so far was to get a decent night's sleep.
Yup. I mean, you did rest. You did have solid rest before you left to go into the forest. But for the most part, yeah. Now, explain to your character real quick and why you can't sleep, and then tell them just how serendipitous your random inventory item was.
So my character is a warlock whose patron deity is one of the old ones. So guys like Cthulhu, like that sort of pantheon is like where my power comes from. And so basically in my backstory, I discovered an artifact that opened my mind to the old ones, and now I can't get the visions to stop. So the visions and like the knowledge keeps me awake.
It's slowly
driving me insane. Yep. And so like I spent like a year as a hermit, basically trying to get everything under containment, kind of under wraps to the point where I can function, which is why my character's not big on social etiquette anymore. He doesn't really observe that sort of shit because he's got too much on his mind already.
And lack of patience and tolerance because he's got shit to do.
I'm moody as balls. Like
you played it very well.
Yeah, and so I said earlier on, I told somebody that like I can't sleep because the voices won't stop. Or I'm having enough trouble sleeping because of the voices. I don't need outside interference.
Yep.
So Tim basically gave us a scroll that gave us our inventory for the beginning.
I let you guys pick.
Yeah. So he let us pick a scroll. Sorry.
I had like 20 scrolls. I let you guys pick one.
And by sheer happenstance and luck and serendipity, I picked out a scroll that had in it a nightcap that, when worn, gave you pleasant dreams. And it was one of those things that, like, I actually offered it to Pharrell at one point because he talked about the demon. I was like, well, I have this nightcap that could help, maybe. But yeah, it was one of those things that, like, it was for me the fact that I'm trying to get a decent night's sleep and want to be able to sleep, like trying to keep the voices under control. Having that nightcap was really funny and really just sort of an odd but lucky sort of like coincidence that happened. It was
That's
pretty great.
That's why I like to throw those things in there. Like, I always like to give players mundane and random items, because in like a real life scenario, although this is a fantasy thing, you still comply with the rules of happenstance.
Yeah.
And so you're going to stumble upon random items and random things that you're like, oh, I like that, or I like that, or something's going to be given to you as a gift or an heirloom. So I play into that kind of to help balance the character, or help create the character a little more character, a little more dynamic.
Yeah.
And so each player can use those to their whim, but at least it's there to kind of give them more things to play with.
Sure.
And it just happened to work out fantastic.
Yeah, that was
For your character.
I can just see my character like getting into the tent and putting on the nightcap and like laying down. Which makes the fact that we had to fight somebody 2 hours later like even better, because I picture me wearing the hat the entire time.
Yeah, so did I.
The nightcap, like the triangular hat with the tassel at the end.
I thought about having Dreads roll to see if he noticed when he woke you up, to see if you noticed how goofy you looked.
It's
like Ebony Scrooge.
Right. I'm rolling around in like leather armor and then having like a cloth nightcap that's got like moons on it and like a little fluffy tassel on the bottom.
Just like in A Christmas Carol is what I imagine. Yep.
Yeah, something like that. That was really funny. And that was what led into the fight that lasted for fucking ever.
Yeah, it was about 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours of fighting these three assholes. What were they called? The Wild Pack?
Yep.
So basically like 4 shape-shifting bandits that showed up. And
they're essentially were bandits, if you really want to get into it. Yep.
Yeah, so they showed up and...
By the way, I'm very proud of that fight sequence, that entire setup, the way that I was able to plan everything out, the way that I did it. To me personally, I was very proud of how that turned out.
Right.
Because it was just, once again, it was me improvising, but the way that I directed and the way that you guys played into it was just fantastic.
Yeah.
It's definitely, like I said, one for the books.
Well, and like, so Trevor used ability called Message. I think is what it was called. So basically he was talking, so there's four of these guys. There's a werewolf, a bear with an axe, a warthog or a boar with a hammer.
Mm-hmm. A mallet. Giant mallet.
And then a lion wearing plate mail, shiny plate mail, and holding a scimitar?
A chest.
Just a breastplate?
Yeah, just a breastplate.
Okay.
With a scimitar, with a giant scimitar, yep.
So we automatically all assume that he's the leader, and Trevor uses message to communicate telepathically because no one's responding verbally to anything we say.
Because you guys don't speak bear or warthog or...
I mean, I could have started throwing thoughts into their heads, but I did that later. But so basically, we get a little bit of information through Trevor that they work for the witch that we're looking for. I swear he said that.
No, this is what kind of made it, I guess, funny and amusing, was he essentially thought he knew what was up when he didn't, and he led to some accusations which pretty much just like shifted everything. So he's like, "Oh, we're here to kill the witch," which is not at all what you were there to do.
Even out of character, like I was over here shaking my head, like no.
And then he said, "It's like, oh, I mean, we hear that you work for the witch. I mean, she's cool." And he's like, the tiger responded with a. No,
I thought
we don't.
I thought the line that said they worked for the witch. Not my bad.
Nope, he didn't say anything. He just knows of the witch, but
Word.
didn't work for him. It just the way that Kaizen was speaking definitely showed like complete and utter like self-righteousness along with complete absence of anybody else.
Selfish and self-righteous at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, he was just mainly worried about him and what's his and what he has to deal with,
Right.
and how good it's going to make him look.
Right. I think he offered like 50 gold at some point to one. Like, what's she paying you? We'll pay you like 50 gold.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I just think visually, I think it's hysterical to think of the spell because Kai-san basically has to stand there and like point at who he's talking to. So he's standing there pointing, looking very intensely at the lion.
I think Trevor said his eyebrows do
Just
a caterpillar
back and forth.
So, yeah,
Just makes me think of that SNL skit with Matthew Perry doing Michael Keaton on Celebrity Jeopardy, and he's like, you have to watch it, but like the first time he rings in, he's just like. And Alex Joke's like, we don't accept facial gestures as an answer.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yep.
And then the battle ensued. Well, I guess the battle started. Well, once again, the battle was my fault, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, because the boar started running at me, jogging.
Lightly jogging.
Which, I mean, again, you watch a 6'5" boar start moving any quicker than a slow walk. And don't freak out a little bit.
I'm not saying what you did wasn't appropriate.
So yeah, I fired off a spell at him, which nudged him a little bit,
and that engaged.
Everybody else decided to go. Okay, well.
Well, explain how this wild pack came up to your group.
Well, we basically so Fen and Kaisan. Well, Kaisan was in trance, so Fen basically was hearing things moving in the dark. And so, and
he's an elf. He's a high elf.
Yeah, so he can see in the dark for a certain amount of
60 feet.
60 feet, yeah. And so he started kind of panning around, and so they're basically coming out. He could hear him moving around.
He would hear moving around first. He'd hear some slight.
And it was all everyone came from a different side. Mm-hmm. So it was all.
And just about, I had to time it to almost every 30 seconds or so that he was trying to think. I had to have him roll because then he would hear something else, or roll and he'd hear something else. So I had to play that into to make it more theatrical, more suspenseful, and it actually worked out.
Yeah, it worked out really nice. The reveal of all of them, essentially coming out of the shadows one by one, was a nice touch. Mm-hmm. Pardon me. And so,
yep. So the boar came.
The boar came first.
And he didn't even charge at you guys. So the boar has a charging ability where he can move if he was to come at you, and I think it's 30 feet.
Yeah, and he was well within 30 feet of us.
And if he was to charge at you, he can fuck your shit up because he does tusk damage at the same time.
Right.
Along with, whatever damage you do for he could have easily have killed you.
We ended up relegating him between bad rolls and us just doing consistent damage. We relegated him to being kind of a non-issue, not non-issue, but he was annoying, and so it was he took forever to fucking die.
Yep.
But
he was the longest. It took you the longer. He was the longest one for you guys to kill,
for sure.
And then the hardest guy was actually probably the quickest, for the most part. But you figured out how to.
Well, yeah. Once I got off one of my actual good spells, eventually I got the bear in one of my spells called Witch Bolt, which basically just lets me shoot lightning from my hand continuously until I have to break my action.
Yeah,
and luckily no
until
one
somebody breaks your concentration.
Yeah.
Your concentration is broken. You can consistently just keep on your turn keep
rolling.
rolling. And you took easily like 60 to like 80 points of damage, just your character.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly too. I mean,
yeah, it was coming off. I was shaving him down pretty quick.
But he also had like 138 hit points, so
Right.
you had a long ways to go. He was the tank.
Right. Well, and like the lion became a non-issue because I used my other spell, which was called Dissonant Whispers, and basically all I did was like whisper something at him, and then I scared him, and he ran away.
Yeah, because he failed his savings throw.
Yeah.
And so he took psychic damage, and then he had to run as far as he could the opposite direction.
As far as he could, as the opposite direction as his speed would allow.
Yep. And so he was off.
Yeah, he took off like a shot.
Yep.
Never came back. So got him out of the way really quick, really easy, which I'm actually kind of happy about because I think he probably would have been pretty rough on us. The wolf ended up being more of a hindrance to himself. Tim rolled
that wolf. Oh my god.
Tim rolled a critical failure at one point and ended up cutting his own leg open,
giving himself 10 points of damage.
which was it became like once the lion was out of the picture, like it kind of became the Three Stooges. Like, because like the bear was the only one doing any specific damage.
Oh yeah,
because the bear threw his axe and cut Fenn's arm off and killed him
40
in one
feet
shot.
away too.
Yeah, but once he let go of that axe, like shit went downhill for him too. Like
yeah,
he kept tripping over stuff.
So once again, this was a fight that you guys should not have even
been in. Yeah,
you weren't ready, but it was just decent rolls, eventually kind of collective thinking, and then horrible rolls on my end.
Yeah.
And so happened to be pure luck.
We did also coin the great phrase once Trevor figured out that Fenn could just like tank for us. Essentially, we need a fucking fighter so someone can tank for us.
Yeah.
But like we basically used Fenn as a tank, and then and Trevor coined the phrase "Jesus Tank" because of Dreads' look, which I still think is a fucking t-shirt at this point.
And what was his random item that he?
Fenn's or Kaisan's? Yep.
So you remember when you were at the shop, those mundane items.
Scarab.
Well, yeah, he has a scarab. That was one of his mundane items, but
he's got the goblet. That's right.
So he just had a regular, just a regular mundane piece of art.
It was a jeweled goblet that he was trying to sell
Golden
off.
goblet, yep.
And Pharrell enchanted it and basically made it so when he filled it with water, it became like a healing potion. So we essentially, between what Dreads looks like, the tapestry that hung behind Dreads in his living room on the Skype call, and him running around with a goblet full of healing water, we basically made Fenn a Christ allegory, at least to some degree. Because not only that, but he was resurrected at least once.
Yes. Yep. That's right.
So Trevor coined the phrase "Jesus Tank."
Yep.
Because of that. That was towards the end of the fight. We dealt with the wolf first. I think he went down first, and then the boar we finally killed off.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bear we just all took at, once everyone else was gone. Yep. I must have been casting Witch Bolt for like 6 turns.
Yep. And you took some damage. You pretty much like came down to almost dying.
I think I was at one point.
And then Dreads gave you his goblet. And I had to keep track of each time he used that because I'm like, I can't just give him unlimited amounts.
Right.
So I was like, he has a water skin, he said. I'm like, okay, I'm going to give him the benefit of a doubt that he bought himself a water skin, and it's probably like a gallon water skin. And I'm going to imagine that goblet...
That goblet's probably only about 4 or 5 ounces.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was thinking like 4 to 6. So he could probably get about 4 or 5 decent drinks out of that. So I had to keep track. And he just happened to be able to use it because what did he do when he... So, okay, the backtrack. The bear. What did the bear do to Fenn?
Oh, yeah. His arm was gone. Like, his arm was maybe hanging off by a piece of skin.
Yep. So the bear threw his giant double-bladed battle axe at Fenn 40 feet away.
Yeah.
And it took his
fucking arm
pretty much right off. It was just just dangling there
and
at that
killed
point.
him at the same time. It
Oh,
dealt
yeah, he
enough
died.
damage that he died.
Yeah, he died. He took like 11 points of damage or something.
Some
That
along
was
those
like,
lines. Like it was like 1 point above what he actually had.
and then
Kai-san actually gave him a healing potion.
Yup.
Which brought him back up.
Yep. So it brought him back up, and he took like 7 points of hit
Something
points
along those
back or
lines.
something like that. And so he's pretty much mangled still. Is kind of I
His
guess
arm's
what
still
we,
fucked.
Yeah, what we decided. He was just still mangled, and then he decided at one point to run away.
Yeah. He created an illusion of brush, like in this clearing. He thought was like right next to a dead tree. It ended up being like 30 feet from the dead tree or something like that.
Yup.
And he was just like, he ran and hid behind it. I was like, dude, like they're gonna notice. Like they're gonna notice that shit just popped up. Like they
Especially
came from
because
that area.
There's no other brush. It's just these giant trees, so it's
Yeah.
gonna look a little weird.
And I understood what he meant because he thought, like, just like I thought in the map you drew, like I thought the tree that
tree
you
had
drawn
fallen
was
over.
part of the fallen one that
Yep.
was right next to it. So I got what he meant, but
Still,
at the
it
same
was
time, I was
funny.
like, dude, like.
And then,
Then I went down. I think.
yep, that's when you went down. I think the wolf or the bear took you. I don't know. Either
The
way,
bear,
you.
I think. No, the bear slashed me in the chest for 10 points out of the 11 I had.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Well, either way, you went down
Yeah.
pretty low. You were at one point, and he decided.
Yeah.
Fenn decided he was like, well, I have a goblet. I might want to go help him.
Right.
So I want to run over there and give him my goblet. I'm like, how can I make this interesting? So I had him roll to see if he
like,
was
filled
doing
it.
this one-handed.
Yeah.
He was going to do this one-handed, and he was going to apparently,
Drop his sword.
yep,
Like
and-
basically hold the goblet with like his arm or something like that, or his feet, and
I don't
like
know, he's-
pour with his good arm.
And I just imagine him running with this goblet straight in
I
front of
got
him,
it,
like
got
I
it.
said, like the Olympic torch, running at you.
Oh man.
But yeah, he succeeded. He
Yeah.
succeeded without spilling a drop.
Numerous times he succeeded in bullshit
So,
like that. Like
I mean, it was a dexterity roll, and
dice gods were on
he's
our
a
side
rogue,
that
so yeah, continue. So you finished the rest. How did it? How did it
so we
finish
eventually
off?
killed the bear. I at one point tried to use my telepathic ability to say, "Hey, like you've seen what we've done. Is it really worth this problem at this point?" Which was met with growls and
Why was it met with growls?
well, my ability doesn't matter. Like they
No.
don't speak human, but like
Exactly. Nobody speaks bear. He could have easily have answered you, but you had no idea of knowing.
well, I told him to stand down.
Yep.
Homeboy didn't want to do that. So, but yeah, so eventually the wolf went down. Who killed the wolf? Was it Fenn or was it Kai-san that killed the wolf?
I think it was Fenn.
Fenn, yeah. So Fenn dealt the
Well,
bullet.
quickly explain.
Kai-san wasn't moving and somehow had avoided being hurt for an hour.
Yep.
Like he was
Yep.
just standing in the midst and everyone was ignoring him.
Every single time it
was
came up
so
to
irritating.
me rolling, it mainly was the wolf because he was standing next to the wolf for a majority of the time, and that wolf just wasn't his day. I, for the life of me, couldn't get a decent roll, and the couple decent rolls I got that weren't like criticals or way down there didn't meet his armor class, so I didn't hit him
Right.
anyway. And I'm like, fuck me, goddamn.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he gets ganged up by all three of them because he's in the midst of like.
Yeah.
In the middle of where the boar is, the bear is, and the wolf came up too. So he's literally surrounded by all three of these guys while you were all the way over here and Dredge was all the way over here.
Yeah.
And he still wasn't getting hit.
Yeah,
Until
well, he didn't get hit until Fenn ran up and like was like, "I'll help you out."
Yep. And then
Then
what happened?
Everybody fucked him up.
What happened? He died twice.
Oh, yeah, twice. Yeah,
And-
for sure.
So I mean,
Just the worst. Oh, it was pretty rough, but yeah, once the boar and the wolf were down, I mean, we took the bear out pretty quick after that.
yeah. No, I mean the bear.
That lion's gonna come back at some point. I know he is.
That bear was he was the muscle. He was the tank.
Yeah.
And you guys got fairly lucky because he had a couple of fumbles too. He hit you. He hit you once. I think he hit.
Well, he like
Kaizen
basically
a couple
slashed my
times.
chest and did 10 points of damage. Luckily I had 11, so I had 1 point of damage.
But
and that
you
was when
ran away.
I ran away at that point. I was like, well, I don't need to be here anymore.
Right? No, it was fun. It was a 2 hour.
It was 2 hours of trying to fight those assholes.
So one thing I was struggling with a little bit was like I said, for this game, I'm trying to take it more serious. I'm trying to go a little more in detail, a little more thorough.
Yeah.
And the fight sequence was one of those where when we initially started it, I'm like, I gotta pace it.
Yeah.
I gotta pace it. I gotta play it the way it should be played. I can't be giving you, to give you guys the advantage or me the advantage, or I gotta let it play out.
Let it play out. Yep.
And I'm glad I did, because it was fun.
Yeah.
It was entertaining. You guys got amazing experience points. You guys also fucked that entire thing up too, because you guys weren't going to fight.
Yeah.
But nope.
Once
Fucking
again,
trigger happy bunch over here.
Me being trigger happy.
No, that's true.
I'm
You
basically
started
impetus
out-
for any of the big fights or the big problems like with your storyline have been me.
Yeah. Yep. But it's been fun. It's been
Yeah.
good, and I'm glad that I slowly let that pace and just let it happen, because I was like, God, these guys aren't going to go anywhere. I'm like, but you know what? This needs to happen the way it's happening, and I'm just glad I was able to slow down and just keep it going without making it boring or dull.
Right. No, I had a blast.
And you guys advanced over quite well.
Yeah.
So
we're all level 3. We're well on our way to level 4.
Yeah, you didn't get shit for loot, because the only thing that you got from that fight, I mean, that fight had a hella experience points.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got 3,600 experience points from the fight.
Right.
And then I gave you an extra 2,000 experience points just for all the shit that you did from the start.
Right.
So, yeah, you guys are level 3 now, easily going to 4, and all you have to show for it is what the boar was wearing, a giant wooden mallet, and a giant double-bladed battle axe, and
neither one of us can carry.
and like some silver.
Yeah.
Some silver pieces that the boar had.
I think we divvied up the silver for everybody, but other than that, it was, I think we just kind of went, I want this shit.
Right. But yeah, that's all you had to show for it. So,
Yeah.
and that's where we are. And then now I'm just waiting.
Not but a bunch of scars, really.
Right. But it was a good place to stop.
Yeah.
And now
Most
we can
definitely.
pick back up. And now I'm just waiting to find out when we can play next.
Yeah.
So
Even Chelsea was like, when you guys getting together next? I was like, well, obviously not this weekend, but
yeah, I mean,
this weekend's kind of rough anyway.
But
well,
yeah,
it's
hopefully we can get together at least.
next couple weeks here, I'm hoping to be able to.
So it's kind of like I was telling Trevor, you just have to set a date for it.
Yep.
You just have to go, hey, this is the day. I need this day off or whatever. I'm not going to do anything. Don't make any plans. Like I've been pretty, easy to work with, because I'm not working and I have time for the most part. I just have to make sure Kaylee can watch the kid. So she has to take day off too. So
Right.
the earlier it is, the better, obviously. But I was just telling him, I was like, you just have to commit to it.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. Just take a day off, find out what day, ask where we can all get together and just take that day off.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So
Hopefully we get some more people to jump in here at some point.
that'd be fantastic. I mean, I would love at least.
Not that I minded just the 3 of us, but I mean, definitely the pacing goes better with more people.
It might slow down a little bit, because then you have a little bit more interactions that have to be dealt with. But it makes it a little bit more interesting.
It's immersive for sure.
Yep, makes it more interesting. You have a little bit more, a lot more team playing. Kind of more ideas to throw out there and stuff like that. But definitely would, if we can get like just one more person, would have been fantastic.
I said we need a fighter.
Yeah, a fighter or a cleric.
Yeah, one of those two.
One of those two. Essentially, a cleric.
Somebody either
could do
take
both,
the damage or
so-
heal.
A cleric could do both, though. They can do some pretty badass damage, because they are fighters. But it's the healing. You guys got super lucky,
Thank
super
God for
lucky.
that goblet.
right? And I'm going to have to keep that in my note. I think I did write it in my notes saying Dreads is out of water. So he ain't going to be able to pull that
Next
shit.
show, it's either going to be piss or spit. One of the
Right?
two.
And I haven't decided if I'm going to allow that yet. So we'll see.
For sure.
But Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it
I'm
was a
glad
good
you had
time,
fun, man.
Yeah, I had a blast.
What, as of right now, where it stands, what do you think is going to happen next?
Well, I think
What do you
that,
envision is going to happen next?
Well, I think that, personally speaking, like, I know we're trying to get to the capital to talk to the king before we go seek the witch, but I have a feeling we're gonna run into the witch before that. I just think that that's how that's gonna roll. But I think other than that, like I said, that lion's gonna come back and bite us in the ass. You even noted that the wild pack is more than 4 people, so there's gonna be other guys that are probably gonna want to take a piece of our ass. So I think those 2 things are probably going to happen before we make it to the capital to find out whatever the king's going to put us on. I assume the king's going to have a quest of some kind for us, or there's going to be some kind of issue that I have to resolve.
Yeah, you guys are at least almost like 2 to 3 weeks out from the capital for travel wise. So yeah, you guys got some time.
Well, well, there's so much more going on too, because I mean, like, I don't think we've told anybody this, but the map that like Tim gave us is a section of the map he drew. Like, it is a small portion of the map he drew, and it's very detailed. I say I want to put a picture of it up on the Facebook page just so people can understand how detailed it is, and then like when you see that map, understand that there's at least 3 or 4 more pieces that go to that. And that's the scope of the world we're running in.
Yep,
so there's a lot of shit going on.
Yep. Well, the campaign that I'm playing is called the Tree of Terith.
Yeah.
And that's the campaign right now, and it's gonna be probably another 4, at least 4 gameplays possibly.
Yeah.
It just depends on how fast you guys move or what goes on.
Sure.
How things play out, but probably another 4 sessions before you guys get done with this section.
Yeah.
So you're on chapter 1 and of my
chapter 1 of a 30-chapter book.
Oh yeah, and that's not even close. Like I had really thought this campaign out, and it's meant to play because me and Dreads talked about this. Me and you had talked about this. Like, even if Trevor can't commit, we can't find anybody else. At least I have you and Dreads that want to continue this game. And if I have to play with the 2 of you, that's totally fine. I'll make that happen, and we'll just continue going. And I made sure I had this all planned out. So the kind of quests and stuff that I'm giving you, and the things that you have to go through now, is just leading you up.
Sure.
To the next chapter.
Right. Well, yeah.
So you are only in chapter 1, and it's about another 4 sessions, I would imagine.
Well, I think the bitch of the whole thing is that right now, as it stands, the witch seems like a side quest to me. Like, when my main quest is to get to the king to see what he wanted, because he sent me a letter.
That's your quest.
Yeah, my main quest is to get to the king. Like, the witch is a side quest to me at this point.
Right.
But because of my character and wanting to seal, make sure that the old ones aren't able to come back, I feel compelled to deal with this as well. So.
Yep. Yeah, well.
Yeah.
You'll find out next time.
Right.
And I think we'll wrap it up for that one.
Yeah.
So this was our D&D...
Post D&D wrap-up.
Yep, post-game first of hopefully many.
Yes.
Post-game podcast. And I kind of want to keep this going where, like I said in the pre-game one, we'll kind of do a pre-game of before we play. We'll try to get together and do like a quick 10 minutes before the game.
Sure.
We'll kind of talk about what you think is going to go on, and then we'll play the game, and then we'll go back to doing what we just did today. So, well, yeah, until next time, this is Timothy Bennett.
This is Aram Banyan.
And thanks for listening. Catch you later.
Later.